Hello, my little pomfrets. How are yous all this morning? It's wee Paddy from across the shock. And you'll see by the title, this is, well, I don't mean it to start a controversy or I don't mean it to have a rant, but I just want to talk about money and our hobby and how we rate things and how we value things. So I'm just going to talk. These sentiments are just coming from me as I'm sitting now. They are not me as I have developed through my YouTube career. I'm just sorry, this is a wee bit off center and it's driving me nuts. That's a bit better. Right. And it's not about me through my whole knife career, but it's where I am now and sort of some of the things I've picked up on the way to get here about value and price. Is something worth, is it too little that I'm not going to buy it, the price, or is it too much that I'm not going to buy it? And then what is in between that? And how do you value a knife? So I'm just going to talk about how I value a knife, um, and just address that subject of running a knife down because we don't think it's worth that money because I'm just going to make a for instance here. I know this is probably childish, but I want a debate and I want people to interact down below and tell me what they think. I mean, am I far out of the realms of what I'm thinking, or is that the way other people think? Now, when I first came around, I was very budget, so it was cheap knives. And they were lovely, and I enjoyed them, and I enjoyed. But I never thought I would go. Definitely wouldn't go over the £100 for a knife. That's just stupid. That was my thought process then, because I was just into a new hobby, and it's like all hobbies. When I started fishing, I had a cheap fishing rod. By the time I finished, I had the highest carbon fiber, most beautiful fishing rod out. So when I played golf, I started with cheap clubs. I ended up with the highest price clubs that I could afford. And that's the way my hobbies have gone. I don't know whether anybody else is the same, but that's the way I start. I start cheap and then you move up as you enjoy the hobby or you get better at doing some sport or you want the better gear. That seems to be the way of it. But sometimes me, and these are all me, talking as a viewer, I said, well, I wouldn't pay that for that. What is there in that's better than this or this or this? What is there better about that nice? And that's missing the point because as you become a collector and a user, it's lovely to have the feel of a knife that feels lovely in your hand, that doesn't have blade materials that are any different than other knives you've got, but there's something about it that excites you. And that's why you'll pay that extra amount of money. Like, I bought a car about 4 years ago. I had the cash to go out and buy a car. I'm just going to tell you the price. I had about £13,000 to buy a car. It was my little lump sum from the Navy. And I had the choice of going out and buying a, a reasonably priced car, brand new, or I could get a Mercedes that was a few years older, but it was a much better looking car, done exactly the same as the cheaper car, but it looked better, and my stature would have been lifted in my eyes. It's a lot of nonsense, but at that time, well, what did I do? I chose a Hyundai. I can't even think of what it's called now. An iX20. It's a wee small SUV, but it does me and the wife. You know what I mean? It's perfect. It's automatic. It's what I wanted. And I didn't. I spent all my money on it. It was less than a year old and 4,000 miles on it. So it's a car that'll sort of do me most of my retirement while I'm still able to drive. So I chose that, and I'm very happy I chose that. I've never once thought I wish I'd have got that Mercedes now. It's gone because I bought what I wanted at the time and what was right for me. And is that not we should be doing in this hobby? We shouldn't be worried about what other people are paying for knives. We should be worried what we're paying for knives. Is the knife what I wanted? Is the knife, you know, the right knife for me because I felt it, I've held it, and I loved it, so I bought it. And the price means nothing. This here cost me £8. It's one of the best knives. It's just a fantastic knife. It's 440C. FRN, it's a lockback, a lot of the things that people don't like, and a lot of the things that people do like, but it's £8. So an awful lot of people wouldn't buy that because it's too cheap. You know, it wouldn't look good on their... Now, this is just, again, I really don't want to be rude, but they don't have that sort of knives on their channel, and that's fine because the channel is yours. You do whatever you like with the channel. I'm not doing this to be controversial. I'm just doing this to sort of break down where that knife's way too much. It's way too much to you. If you think like that, the knife is way too much to you, but there could be thousands of other people that actually think that knife is beautiful and that would be their dream knife. And these knives are just a mixture of prices here. You know, going from £300 to say £10. From £300 to £10, and then all in between. Why are they in my collection? Because I love the budget knife right through to the £300 knife. This knife has been in my collection longer than any of these, and it's £10. And I've had numerous mounts of them and gave numerous of them away. I don't even know how many in the thing, because it's a flipping good knife. And if that's what you want, is just a flipping good knife to use, that's perfect. Do you need this? Absolutely not. Do I need this? Absolutely not. Do I need that? Absolutely not. There's one that's just over £30, say £35. Does this knife cut any better than this one? No. Will it do any less jobs than this one? No. Just the same as it won't do very few less jobs than these. It mightn't last as long, but as long as you sharpen, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. You don't need to spend the money on these more expensive knives. I mean, there's this little pen knife. £10.95, carbon steel, doesn't last forever. One of the most popular knives out there. For a slip joint guy, they'll pay £300 plus for this. Or $300 plus in America, I should say. Do you know what I mean? It's a Northwoods. It's one of the most popular size, same size as a boy's knife, easy open notch, lovely blade, really lovely user and worker knife. For me, a lot of people wouldn't use it because it's too dear to use. And that's fine because we all collect or use in a different way. But to say something is too dear, I think we really need to think more on, this is a £300 slip joint. Do I need a £300 slip joint? Now, granted, this is in 20 CV. Fantastic steel. I love the looks of it because it's got the FRN in both sides. I think it makes the life one of the nicest hinderers out there. I'm not keen on the plain titanium and a G10 scale on this side. So this to me is the perfect knife. £300. Would I buy this again? Yes, because I love it. Do I use it a whole lot? No, I probably use this one more than I'll use this £300 one. And it simply is, I just want to keep it good. That's all it is. I just want to keep it good. That's a custom knife that costs nearly three times less than this one. Do I like this one any better than I like this one? I would say they're about equal in my eyes. I love this one just as much as this. These two knives will never leave my collection. Will this leave my collection? Which is, in America is probably about the same price as this at the minute, because you can't get them for love nor money. Cash in demand, which really excites people who collect any sort of things. If something's gone up in value, people want it because it seems to be the thing that everybody else wants, and I want to collect it. And that's absolutely fine too, because we all want the best that we can afford. This is a PM3. And, this is M390 and exclusive, about £200. Now, it's over here in the UK. It's about £200 for that knife. Does that knife cut any better than that? Or does it cut any better than this? No, it's a bit bigger than this, but for my use, them two will cut the same. They're just a boy's knife. That's what I use most of the time. And to be honest with you, if I've got a job that's really hard use, I have other knives that I'll take out, like this, which is my favourite at the minute, the American Lawman. I waited years. I didn't buy it. I don't know why. but a super, super work knife. So some of these I'll not use much. The ones that I'll use the most is the only custom. I'll use this one the most because I just love it as a knife, and I love using it. I love the feel of it in my hand. And that is the whole point. This is a custom knife, handmade for me, with the materials I chose, with the shield I chose, with the blade steel I chose, which is 01. This is just a flippin', look, you can see by the bolster on this. This knife is used, and I don't even put it in a slip most of the time because it's such a marvellous knife. I love just putting my hand in and feeling it. So the money value in that is way beyond this because I use this more, and yet it's 3 times less than this. This is in the middle. This is about £200 odds for this, and I bought this because there was a polar bear on it. Is this, is this a £250 knife? Well, it must be because I bought it. Do you know what I mean? Am I silly? I mean, the fit and finish is perfect on it. It is a gorgeous knife, but it's the same size as a boy's knife. You know what I mean? It's about 3.5 inches. Beautiful knife, lovely steel on it. I can't even remember. There's this thing. I can't even remember what the steel was on it when I bought it. I have it somewhere, but I just can't remember off the top of my head because it's not important because I can sharpen. It's a beautiful knife, handmade knife, absolutely gorgeous. I'll put a wee bit more light on there. That's better, I see. There you go. And it has a polar bear on it. So to me, it was worth the money. And any knives that we collect are worth the money if they're in our collection because we have thought right to buy them, as long as we're buying them for ourselves. And my problem is that for quite a long time in this hobby, I bought because I thought it was what other people wanted to see, and it would make my channel, improve or get better if I had this knife. That's the wrong way to collect knives. It's the right way if you're going to promote and get, sell knives for other companies. But it's probably the wrong way to collect is buying what other people like. I've now got to the stage where, and it's like, I suppose it's like anything. I got to the stage where I'm comfortable in what I'm buying it for, because yes, I do buy some knives just for the channel. But them knives that I'm buying just for the channel are something like this Cubie, which is, I got this for £35 from China, delivered. I didn't have to pay customs, don't know why, but I'm quite grateful. It has the action and the looks of a knife, 5 times its price. 5 times its price. It is fantastic. And I buy that for the channel for a comparison, of a price thing. But anything that's over nearly, £80, £100 now, I'm buying that for me. I'm sharing it with you, but I'm buying it for me. And if I get given knives from companies now, if I don't like them, I don't do a review on them. And people are going to say, well, that's being dishonest. It's not. Because that knife's not for me, so I'm not going to find the goodness in that knife. I think this is the whole crux of it. I don't do bad reviews, because if a knife is that bad that I'm going to give it a terrible bad review, what's the point of doing that? There's plenty of other people out there that love breaking a knife down and finding every little niggle with it. That's not what I don't buy a knife to find something wrong with it. And I think I've said this before. When I get a knife, I want to find the good things about that knife, because if the good things outweigh the bad, then that knife's all right for me. Again, I don't know if anybody else is like that. I'm at that stage, and I don't know whether it's my age. I'm getting mellow in my old age, but I'm comfortable with what I'm collecting. I started collecting Victorinox knives, which is probably the cheapest way to build up a group of knives for a hobby. But I've actually got to like them now. For years I didn't like them, so I didn't buy them. Whatever has changed, I like them now. I've got 30 in the space of 3 months. Probably less than that, quite honest. But, I've got 30 now, from brass ones to different. It's just, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So that's a cheap side of a hobby, because most of them are £30 and under, because I buy most of them second hand. So it's a nice way to keep a hobby going For me, it gives me another outlet, another little branch that's not going to cost me a fortune, so that I can still buy the knives that I want and that I love to have in my collection to look at. And I don't buy them now for what you particularly like or want. And again, I'm not being rude to my subscribers. I think you're amazing, because my subscribers watch everything, because I show everything. So what I'm trying to say is, I've come to realize that the value of a knife is only important to one person, and that's the person that buys it. So I'm going to try and stop saying that knife is too dear, because I realize that what does that mean? I'm not buying that knife because it's too dear. People say that about a £35 knife and say, well, no, that's too dear, I'm not buying that. Well, and that would sound silly. But because a knife costs, up in the 300 mark or wherever, and I'm talking they go up to thousands upon thousands, would I pay that money? No, but it's not because I don't like the knife or I don't think the knife is worth it. Although in my head I might think it's not worth it, and that's okay, so I don't buy it. And that's the choice we have. If you don't think it's worth it, don't buy it. Dead simple. But I want to review a knife on what it is, the good points I can find about it. If it's got glaringly bad points or it's unsafe, I'll call it out. But if I think it's rubbish and bad, why would I put it on my channel? As long as it's safe, I'll give it away to somebody. But if it's rubbish, and I've had some rubbish ones, let me tell you, and they go in the bin. But I'm going to try, for me, is to not put price. And I suppose this is a lot to do with my mate Ben, who brought a knife out. And there was a few people that just said, oh, it's not worth the money. That's a lot of nonsense. It's a fabulous knife. And I love it. I love this. I absolutely adore this. It's £300. The blade material's no better. The covering is less than what but I think people, again, I'm not too sure whether it's because there's slip joints and a lot of people are not slip joint people, but you're putting when you say something's too expensive, I think you're putting your mindset on it. And how's somebody else who really wants that knife, how's they going to feel about that knife? Oh, he said that wasn't, rather than him getting that knife and finding out himself, is it too expensive? If you're reviewing it, you have a responsibility to also make that choice available to everybody else. Don't take it away from people because it's something that you've decided is not worth the value. I hope I've got my point across, because this is not meant to be controversial. This is me talking to myself with my friends who are my subs, but I want to know what you feel about it. I know people who can't afford it, their feeling is that they're too dear. But it's too dear for them at the minute. Things can change and you can go up the ladder of knife collecting, but they don't have to. If you're happy with something like this £35, which is a fabulous knife for £35, for £10, fabulous knife. Absolutely. So I think we just want to think as a reviewer, let people decide what the value is. If I'm going to judge a knife, it's going to be on what I think the knife is and how I like it. Do I like the way it's made? Do I like the way it feels in my hand? It's quite happy to say that, no, I don't like this here, there's a notch. That's absolutely proper reviewing, because that's giving your opinion on what it is. And somebody else who's maybe bought other knives that you have will want your opinion to be honest. And that's honesty. But value, I think I'm learning more and more. Value is nothing. I mean, when I look at these other big channels and they've got a £2,000 knife, £1,500 knife, to me, I'll never spend that on a knife. Because after £300, in my opinion, after £300, you're not getting any extra other than just artwork. It's better artwork for you who's buying it. I mightn't even like it. But if there's no point me saying that's not worth the money, because people are buying them at that money. So they like it and think it's worth it. and great for them. At the moment, my ceiling is 300. That's where I've set it now. Now, I might go a wee bit over it for a Chris Reeve, at certain other knives, maybe another Hinderer, but they're not something I'm immediately trying to find out. I'm more happy in this bracket here, from 300 and down, and these are all worth the money I paid for them, to me, and they mightn't be to a lot of you out there. The knives I wouldn't buy that. I'm not going to spend that. That cut's as good as that. That cut's as good as that. Why would you? And the reason is, it's a hobby. And my hobby is the collecting of a knife. So I now buy knives that I like for a price that you might think is bonkers. So I'm going to be more careful what I say in the future on pricing, because I think I'm learning the lessons that we all do as we go along. We can all become, I think if you're a viewer, sometimes you can become very set in the way in what you want to collect and what you think a knife should be, that we tend to try and impose our thought process on people. So, I'm going to show you a knife now that's £150, which is, I call a dear knife. This one here, this is the Farley from Ace, and there's been quite a few negative reviews on the Ace Bibelots and things like that. I don't know, I've never had them. This is the one I've had, and I absolutely love this knife. The pocket clip's back on it because I'm just about to do the review, but normally I carry it without the pocket clip. I absolutely love this knife. It's a slip joint, which again, I'm in the UK, so a lot of my knives now are slip joints, but I didn't buy this because it was a slip joint. I got this given to me. It's a £150 knife to review. My God, it's a fabulous knife. It could replace every one of these knives if I was just buying a knife for use. Sorry, I'm bumping that again. If I was just buying this knife just for a knife that I want to carry for the rest of my life and use, this would cover it. M390 micarta, absolutely beautiful wire pocket clip, perfectly fits in my hand. It's it's quite tight for a small knife. That's okay. That doesn't bother me. I can sneak up, but it's just the perfect carrying knife that I can just throw in my pocket, and that's the joy of micarta. You don't need a sheath or anything in that. I mean, this is just an absolutely fabulous knife. So, I don't know where I was going with. I just wanted to show that Farley off. I'm so impressed with that knife. There's a review coming, and let me tell you, there's not many knives that I get as excited about as that isn't a complete looker, but by God, it's a great worker. It really is. But anyhow, I don't know whether I've made any sense or people can, and I don't want you to agree or disagree with me. I would love to know what's your opinion on money. Where does money factor into your knife collection? Not as much in the constraints. We all can't afford the most expensive knives because they just keep getting more expensive. But when you say I'm not going to get one, is it the price itself that puts you off, or is it the knife? For me, before I start saying that's too expensive, for me, I think I need to have it in hand. Because if you're thinking like that, that knife is taking you to a place that you're not comfortable with. Again, I don't know whether that makes sense. Look, you jumble this all up together. See what you think. Sometimes I don't even know. I don't even know where to start and end. I just put the video on like today, threw some knives down that were in that general place. Because I don't know. But look, thank you for listening to my old waffle. You're warriors in my eyes. I'm going to go on now. Let me know what you think down below. I really would appreciate it. And you see, if you give the video a like, it would really help me out. Again, I don't normally ask this, but please give me a like and a comment. That's all I'm asking. It's absolutely fine. It just helps get me out there to more people. How scary is that? Cup of tea time. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.